really good. I know probably every coach in that building and every coach in the country would be the first one to tell you that you're going to get a lot of energy and an enthusiasm the first several days of camp, and really want to find out who we're going to be in the middle of camp, and things that I wanted to see at the beginning, because I expected to see the energy and the enthusiasm, but I really focused on execution as much as anything. So that was really good on both sides of the ball, and it's been a really good first 3 days. Yesterday we put on shoulder pads and so uppers, just shells as we call it. And it was another good day of flying around and getting adjusted to fall camp and the tempo, those types of things. So
Brent, that offensive line group, obviously 5 spots there. Are all those spots up for grabs, and how's that group, I guess, come along so far in the first few days?
I think it's appropriate to say that. It's not we don't have 50 guys to choose from, and but love the group of guys. It's a group that the hard work has shown, that's been going on since the spring, and with a couple of additions here this fall camp since the last time we laced them up. And so really like how that group's coming along, and got good depth there in regards to guys that we feel like can play winning football. And Jacob Sexton, Jake Taylor, Mike Tarquin, Fabechi, Branson Hickman, Josh Bates, several other guys, along with those guys. Again, Logan Howland has really done some great things as a young player. Again, B.J. Brooks, Joshua Sosa. That's a group of guys that, we are really excited. Eddie Pierre-Louis has jumped in there, and again, the young guys and the new guys have really impressed with their ability to be able to execute. And then the older guys are better than they've ever been. The leadership that we're getting from Sexton and Taylor both, and the improvement that they have brought to the table. And then again, my feeling, it's the best, that Fabechi's been playing. These are coming from if these guys were standing here in front of you, they're playing their best football. He and Mike Tarquin, Spencer Brown, those guys. So Bill's done a great job, along with the rest of our guys on the offensive line, coaching them up and getting them ready.
Brent, what's your injury situation at the start of camp, and how's that coming along?
Deshaun.
Yeah, Deshaun we're holding him right now, trying to get him to heal up. He's got a little toe, but he'll be fine in another week or so. And we're really pretty good. It's again, Jalil's been out there, and we haven't put any limitations on him.
So he's been ahead of schedule. I mean, because at first you thought
Well,
it was
he's
game week or something.
Well, I said we'll make sure that he's ready to go by game week. He was would get him to 90% as far as some of the analytics, and by then. But in the big picture, for that injury, he's right on schedule. He's not ahead of schedule, so he's at that 15, 16 week mark. So
drill.
Yeah, he's been running, and he looks good. And I don't think he's full speed, but he's done one-on-ones. He's done a lot. So we'll keep progressing him as well.
How's Casey look throwing the ball? Casey Thomas?
Yeah, he's done good. Yeah, he had a good couple of series, some third downs yesterday, and some of our first down play, second down scenarios, and getting the drive starters off the right way. Show some of his experience, making decisions quickly. He's done good.
Brent, we saw Peyton as a freshman make some impact plays on special teams, as on the punt block and stuff like that. He said he wants to push for that return job. What can he bring to that facet of the game?
Yeah, he's a very highly skilled athlete. Plays with great confidence. He's got natural instincts and natural ability to catch the ball. Under duress, but also the instincts, as a guy with the ball in his hands.
What stood out to you so far about Jackson through the first part of camp maybe that's different from how he was in the spring or before that?
Yeah, I think we're executing at a really high level right now. And decision making is even better than it was. The guys around him are playing better. I think the offensive line is in a much better position than where we were in the spring. We had some guys again injured or weren't here yet. I didn't mention Garen Hatchett. He's done fantastic as well as an inside guy. But and then overall, just leadership has come. I think he's a comfortable position. You know, he's led these guys all summer and spring, and so it's a little more natural now.
Coach, how are you going to tight end? Looks like it should be a much more productive in terms of receptions and that kind of thing. I don't know about the physical part of it, but with Bauer especially, that should really help an offense from what it was 1 year ago.
Yeah, you know, to have the kind of balance that we want in both running and throwing the ball, I think that that's got to be a position that is not a weakness. And last year, Stogg did a great job, but we just didn't have much behind him. So I think we're in a much better position that way. You know, between Bauer and Jake, Caden Helms, Devon Mitchell, Josh. That's a you know, Cade McIntyre is really, you know, he's close to 230 now. He's done a great job as well, more comfortable. So that's a group that can, you know, execute, and they can block, and good group of guys catching the ball too, big target, and attack the middle of the field. Those are, you know, I think all good offenses have that ability. And so through 3 days, that's a group that has had a real transformation from where we were, you know, just over the last couple of years.
Right.
Brent, how's Dominic Williams looking? How's he fitting in?
Yeah, he's done well. Again, just day 3, and nothing's been perfect, but he's got great. He likes to work, likes to compete, and that's, I would say, those lines of scrimmage. That's, you know, bragging on the offensive line. They show up. They like to work. They like to get after it, and a lot of competition. Iron sharpens iron. Dom's done really nice. He's fit in well. I think the number one reason he's fit in well is because he's had humility and respect for the work and respect for the guys around him, and then he's come in great shape. He worked really hard all summer, and so he's not on a ventilator, you know, trying to learn to do what we want him to do, both scheme-wise and fundamentally. So from that standpoint, he's really given himself a chance to just make, you know, improvement daily, and you've seen that.
Brent, where's Woody Washington working right now, and how much does it help your defense having somebody so versatile like that?
Yeah, no, he's his primary position's at corner, and he's done a nice job there. And then he's always had the ability. We've actually, the last 2 years, have worked him at multiple positions, but we haven't quite had the depth at corner that we're hoping that we have there, you know, this fall. So, but he's got a really good skill set. He's smart. He's played a lot of football. He's really tough. And so he plays big, but corner's his primary position.
Do you see Peyton on the field a good percentage? Bowen, do you see him on the field a good percentage of the time?
Yeah. If he ain't, who is?
Yeah.
No, I mean, between Robert and Billy and Peyton, and then that group of freshmen. So we don't have a lot after that, those 3 that I just said. And but we have to, for us to be able to play at a really high level. And the freshmen have done a nice job. And but if you look at where we were, just again over the last 2 years, we've lost 9 scholarship safeties, and that's a lot. And you know, so we've had to recruit a lot, and but got to get them ready to play at a high level. But those guys have done really. Those 3 in particular, the older guys, they have amazing. Again, just as a coach, I don't ever take it for granted just because we're in the same locker room. And I like guys wanting to compete. I don't want guys satisfied being behind another guy. That's the wrong mindset, the wrong attitude. Exact opposite of what we want from our guys. You know, I want ambitious, driven, you know, I want to run out there first. You know, that should mean something to these guys, and it does. But at the same time, man, they've got great respect and love and appreciation for one another. And for me, that's where the real growth happens. And where they're not looking over their shoulder, they're confident in themselves, and that's all led by Billy. Billy's done a great job with those guys. Peyton had an amazing play yesterday. in a scheme that requires a certain technique. It's not just backpedaling, break on the ball. It's a real deceptive kind of scheme, and man, there's a lot of fundamentals that are critical that you have it down pat. And a year ago, he was pretty inconsistent with that, and so a small thing like that is just the progress and the maturation that you want from all of your guys, but sometimes it doesn't happen fast enough. And yesterday, he was able to make a play on a ball that looked like a guy was wide open, and just makes an amazing play and shows his skill at catching the football, his ability to judge the football, and not only that, but just go attack it too, climb the proverbial ladder.
Is that the biggest thing, the difference? You're talking about a lot of competition in your first two camps. You got more competition competing at play.
Yeah, so I think a year ago we bragged about competitive depth. I do think there was a slight drop off between that first and second group a year ago, and not near the drop off, if any at all. With that first and second group, if you will, and sometimes that second group, that means there's like 3 for 2, or with that second group, so there's a handful of guys in that mix. So I think about linebacker, and again the transformation that's taken place there in the last year and a half from our first year, where we really felt like only had 3 guys that could go play in a game, and to where we're at now. Night and day. And I think for the most part, every position on our team looks like that.
Brent, that cheetah spot, just how many options do you think you guys can maybe try out there just over the next few weeks?
9.
Is
that a good number?
What do you?
I'm just kidding.
What do you like about?
I don't know. We got enough.
What do you like about your options there?
I like the versatility in the positions, but we have a handful of guys that are very instinctive. They all might look a little bit different, but man, we got size, we got speed, we got physicality, guys that have good instincts. I really like the depth of the position, and many of those guys are playing multiple positions. That one is one of those positions, and so whether you look at a guy like a Jaden Rowe or a Kendall Dolby or a Sammy or a Desan or an Eli, Reggie Powers, if I wanted to do it tomorrow, we could throw Boganowski over there and Reggie at safety, and it would be probably, again, there'd be a transition, but rather seamless, but so you're trying to play to guys' strengths and not try to overload guys that can't handle just because their skill set will allow them. You don't want to overload them mentally as a young player. Try to help them get good at something. So, but some guys are a little more, again, like a guy like Eli Bowen. He can do a lot, and a corner mentally is not a difficult position. I don't want to take away the mental aspect of playing there, because it's more than just, hey, I got my guy, But he's got just the natural fundamentals. His fundamentals already developed. His confidence. He doesn't get overwhelmed with anything, and he's just a really good football player. And so you try to find those kind of guys at that position. It takes, a unique skill set, and then we'll try to play to whatever skill set they have there too.
Brent, with only been 3 practices, but Taylor Tatum, what have been your early impressions of him this first week?
Yeah, just probably fearless, confident, physical presence, handles tough coaching, trying to get him prepared and ready. So he's done those things well. He did a good job, obviously, over the course of the summer mentally, because it shows in his ability to get out there and execute whatever it is that we're doing.
Is he a guy, and is that a position that he can miss can still give you what you want coming in, in the summer?
I mean, again, that's not ideal for most guys,
right.
But yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't put any limits on what he's going to be able to contribute this fall, based on what we've seen, a very small sample size,
right.
First few days. His mental capacity, and again, his eagerness to be competitive within the framework of what we're doing on offense.
Brent, getting Gentry back at corner, how much has that helped your cornerback position? The fact that he's actually been able to go through summer and stuff and everything.
Yeah, I think that's good for him. He's missed significant time.
Right.
I think he had 10 starts last year, but probably played maybe 4 total games. His total snap count is not great. And so, you know, getting him at being able to do something consistently, that's how you develop your skill set and the details of your position. Remember, this is a guy, and I know I've said this before, but a guy that coming out of high school, he just did a lot. And he played middle linebacker, you know, he played safety, played quarterback, was running back, receiver. He played very little corner. And so learning how to be a really good, functional, fundamentally sound corner is something that, you know, that's what we've tried to do. And he was a guy that didn't come in the spring or, you know, in January. He was a summer guy, and then we threw him in the fire. So he's got exponential growth potential ahead of him. And this will be I think you'll see a tremendous leap from Gentry just in fall camp alone. And he's a super conscientious guy, highly skilled, you know, really cares about the team, cares about his opportunity, and is a locked-in, focused guy. So I'm excited to see his growth potential.
Brent, you want to talk about your two new coordinators, both Seth and Zach, and how they're
and Joe John, yeah, they're all doing great. You know, I know again they're new, but it's not the normal new. They're not unfamiliar. These are guys that have been there offensively, systematically, and there's a natural cohesion there. That the room, the coach's room, you know, the relationships are real with Coach Biedenbow and Coach Murray and Coach Jones. So it's not like you're having to gel that, if you will. I don't ever take that for granted, but that's a group of guys that have, in many ways, grown up in the profession together. And then Zach, you could say the same thing from just being on the defensive side with myself and the rest of the defensive staff. And you know, you go back to, again, just with some of our support guys like Skowski or, you know, Xavier Brewer, you know, guys that along with, you know, Coach Chavis and Coach Bates, Coach Maloney, you know, that group of guys. So it's a really seamless, you know, for starting with Zach and I and the rest of the guys on defense. And then again, you know, he hasn't had to try to, you know, figure things out. He speaks the same language from the first day, and just building on, you know, what we've been able to foundationally build, you know, over the last 2 years. This is not a completely new world for Zach, and it's not a completely new world for the staff, and it's not for the players either. So I think that's helped, you know, with the transition, and players will be the first one to probably, you know, testify to that.
One more offensive line. Is there a point in the camp where you want to get down, you know, who your 5, 6 guys lined up? Is there a point in camp you need
Or
to know
10.
that,
Yeah.
who you know that your guys are?
Yeah. No. Yeah. At some point in time we will, and it's going to happen fast, Myron. You know, by next Saturday, you know, we start school that following Monday, and you know, by Wednesday we're working scout team work. So it's going to happen fast, and that was a challenge. You know, everybody looks at, you know, yesterday was 4 weeks to kick off, and I told them that means we're 3 weeks from game week, and you're really 2.5 weeks from starting. You split the squad up and really start looking at opponents and things of that nature, and tempo. So it's going to go by. It's going to be just a vapor. And so solidifying that, you got a really good feel, you know, who, you know, what group of guys it's going to be, and then you pare it down to who runs out there first. That'll be a big thing. But what I like about the group is there's a lot of, you know, again, versatility, you know, with key guys to be able to play both inside and outside, and maybe even, you know, be able to do that in the game, you know, as well, and play at a you know, high level.
Brent, what kind of impact have you seen Doug Deacon have so far?
Yeah, just he's got a ton of experience, ton of energy. His ability to connect to the guys is very natural. I think the players, hearing the players' real respect when we had the home run hitting contest down at the softball stadium. Hey man, the players are hard to earn their trust. So it takes something like that, man. He put a couple on a rope out, but he's a great teacher. Teaches the staff well. He's incredibly passionate about doing what he does, and so his ability to inspire and motivate and challenge is, again, very natural, for us in this space. And then he's got a great group of guys, to work with, several 2- and 3-year players that have played a lot. And so there won't be there's same thing. There's not a tremendous, we need to have a result that's a hell of a lot different than what we've had in the past. But Doug's, transitioned really, really well. And players really have a great deal of respect for him.
You mentioned Eddie Pierre-Louis. What have you seen from him in these first few practices?
Just humble, his work ethic, his pride in being prepared every day. You can coach him hard. He's really tough and demanding on himself without, crushing his own spirit. And but he's just ready to learn every day. And he loves his teammates. And again, highly recruited guy. He's got just tremendous respect for the game and in the learning process, and has a great self-awareness, where his weaknesses are and the things that he needs to do to improve. So that helps the progress happen sooner rather than later. If a guy is immature, he's not real disciplined and isn't, a great teammate, I think those things all stunt the growth. But he's got, again, like I said, great self-awareness. And then his teammates, got a lot of really good leaders on the team that are helping him, and he receives that well.
Javante Barnes had a tough season last year. How's he doing physically and mentally?
Yeah, great. I got up in front of the team, several nights ago, and loved some of the things that he said, and a great testimony. What his expectations were and the disappointment that he experienced last year. And some of it's not his fault. And again, a lot of times you just got to get out of your own head, and that's all part of making progress. And so that was good. And we had a great summer, and he's having a really good first 3 days. In many ways looks like his old self, and I don't want to jinx him, but he's done well the first 3 days.
This is your third fall camp for you. From year one to now, can you kind of put in perspective what you've learned as far as numbers and rosters, and even just getting your team ready heading into the season, that you take away from the first time you were head coach to now?
Yeah, so it's easy, sometimes you say, well, it's year 3, but it's not year 3. It's going into year 3, but you've really just been here for a couple of years, and it feels like dog years sometimes. The improvement and the progress has been painful at times, and hadn't happened as near as fast as you would like it to. But I think we have 4 or 5 scholarship players that we're here, with our first camp, and everybody else is new, and so it's a reminder of that as you look around, and then you look out there, and I love the blend of, again, freshmen. Again, we have over 50 scholarship freshmen and sophomore on the team, with a great blend of seniors and guys that have paid the price and played a lot of college football. But it's just that there's a more assuredness, more depths of leadership, and and I'm always careful. Sometimes one team isn't very good at leading. We haven't really experienced that. Some teams haven't been as capable to lead because they were brand new and trying to learn themselves. And but we've got more depth of leadership that has been intentionally developed, intentionally recruited, and our guys have worked hard at it, just knowing what to do in our systems, all of our different systems, and more comfortable, and the players can lead. So it's more of a player-led fall camp, more so than it's ever been. And so for me, now you got more levels of trust, and so overall you got more trust, understanding, assuredness in everything that we're doing, and a more confident football team as a result.
Got time for one last question.
Brent, Switzer once said that every decision they made as a staff came down to, does this help us beat Texas? To whatever extent you guys have had that same sort of thought or marker, does it change going into the SEC? Do you put Alabama and Georgia on that pedestal, or how do you approach something like that?
Well, how would all of our fans feel like I was comparing ourselves to all those other programs? And I've never tried to compare myself, and never tried to compare, our locker room or our players or our program. So our standards, and again, I've said this a lot, stand, on its own merit. and the standard for excellence, what it takes to be a championship program, and what's it supposed to look like inside, foundationally, staffing, resources, facilities, roster, all of that, and that's where our focus is, and meeting the standards that we're looking for, what our expectations are to be, again, a championship program. So, is Texas a real rival? Is that something that has a lot of history and tradition? Does it mean a lot to us and a lot of people? You're damn right. It means a lot, and so we'll never downplay that, but don't want to compare our program. We don't need to. We're going to focus inside out, that golden circle, if you will, and and to me, we should, as a program, just like the best people and most successful people on the planet are people that are progressive learners, lifelong learners, and we as a program just continue to get better, adapting and evolving in a different climate and different circumstances will be really important, for us as a program, moving forward. And so from, the people that you're competing with for resources, what the expectations are internally. Now those will be real. And so I want to make sure, my job is to make sure I understand the opponent, the things that we're competing against in both, again, resources, facilities, roster, all of those things do matter. And that's my challenge for everybody. For us to control the things that we can control, and then us as a program and as a university that, we're giving ourselves to compete at a chance to compete at the highest level. And so we should, and are, very forward thinking and progressively, understanding, where we stand up, if that's, improving our practice facility, compared to, we'd like to have, 3 or 4 of these practice fields, so we don't have to go all the way down to the rugby field, or have an indoor facility right here attached to our practice facility and our football facility, and there's an efficiency about that. Maybe you have an air conditioning unit in your indoor facility, so you don't have to walk through in 120 degrees, and there's a cumulative effect to that too if you're doing daily walkthroughs and recovery components and things like that. And so my job is to always push and challenge for us to give the best resources for our players and our staff, and then there's we do have to produce. That's an expectation in these offices and in that locker room for all of us. So, but for us, it's at the end of the day, it's for us to live up to our standards and fight and compete for those standards every day, and how we do what we do, how we practice, how we work, how we compete, how we recruit. How we build, our own facilities, things of that nature.